Opinions agree that February 17, 1992, is the date of the beginning of the collapse of the system of political parties that have ruled Italy since the end of World War II, namely, the Christian Democratic Party, the Socialist Party and the Communist Party. All of them have today become a trace in the Italian legislative and procedural institutions. The first party was dismembered and inherited by the new right-wing forces and some moderate and center-left parties. The second scattered fragments in all directions. The third was beginning to collapse with the fall of the Soviet Union, once the largest communist party in Western Europe. On that day, 30 years ago, in Milan, the economic capital of Italy and its second largest city, a group of judges decided to form the Clean Hands organization to pursue cases of political and financial corruption, especially those related to the complicity between the leaders of political parties and criminal mafia organizations. That decision was the first nail in the coffin of the traditional parties, whose collapse accelerated in less than 5 years, but without lasting and firm alternatives to it having emerged so far. The first alternative that emerged after that collapse was the right-wing billionaire Silvio Berlusconi. Berlusconi had close personal relations with the leader of the Socialist Party, Tino Craxi, who chose exile in Tunisia, where he spent his last days, and also with some of the symbols of the mafia that had expanded and entrenched in the northern provinces where Berlusconi's companies and media institutions are located. But after this billionaire managed to fill a large space of the vacuum left by the traditional parties and he assumed the prime ministership 4 times, his party began to decline and disintegrate in favor of extreme right-wing and populist organizations until its popularity shrank to less than 6% of the vote. Hence, he is on the verge of a final collapse, especially after the failure of the last attempt to reach the presidency of the Republic, which initially withdrew from its battle after the announcement of his candidacy was subjected to strong opposition, even from some of his allies in the right-wing coalition. Another byproduct of the collapse of the traditional parties was the emergence of the populist Five Stars movement at the hands of the comedian Beppe Grillo, who boasted that it was neither from the right nor from the left. This movement managed in the last general elections to win the largest parliamentary bloc, but after it participated in the last 3 governments, its popularity began to decline in all regional and municipal elections. All attempts to renew it and restore its luster failed, until its internal currents began to quarrel in several directions, and it is no longer excluded that they will break away even before the next general elections. For their part, the leftist forces, after several attempts to gather their forces under different titles and names, joined the bulk of them under the banner of the Democratic Party, a new party that inherited the genes of intense personal conflicts that have characterized the Italian left for decades, and was often the decisive card in the arrival of the right to power. All this makes the veteran President Sergio Mattarella a pivotal figure in this delicate stage that Italy is going through politically and economically, especially with Mario Draghi in the position of Prime Minister, where there is a consensus to stay until the completion of the main reforms set by the European Union as conditions for obtaining